Okay, so in my Can Talk today, we'll be talking about why Tom Rob Smith. Oh, I read a book by Tom Rob Smith called The Secret Speech. As everybody knows, Tom Rob Smith wrote Child 44, and that was the first book of his trilogy. And The Secret Speech is the following book. So I'm going to be talking about why Tom Rob Smith's book is so exciting. And
Just do the clicker.
is there a clicker?
Top shelf.
Okay. Here we go.
No.
Okay. So I'm Jack Huntress, and the title of my speech is "What type of excitement is Tom Rob Smith trying to get out of his readers?" So in honor of today, I don't know if you guys know, but today is the day that the new season of the Fox hit 24 premieres, and I thought that there was a striking similarity between the way Tom Rob Smith writes and the way that the people that make 24 write. And there's also a pretty big similarity between 24 star Jack Bauer and Leo Demidov, who is the main character of the Child 44 Secret Speech Agent 6 trilogy. So, we're going to kind of dive into why he does that. So I have a little video right here. And what I want you to look at, I guess you got to copy and paste. I don't know how to hide words, but what I want everybody to look at during this video is notice this. From what you read in Child 44, try to compare what you see in this video to what you read in Child 44, and it's almost identical if you think of Child 44 while watching this. There we go.
As the day of the California presidential primary began, my character, Jack Bauer, had no idea what he would be facing. The stakes started high with the word of a possible political assassination, and only got higher as the story developed. Jack's day began with the promise of putting his family back together, but it seemed that no matter what he did, they were being pulled further and further apart. The story of a father, husband, and government agent became over the next 24 hours the story of a man constantly trying to do the right thing, but not having the necessary means to do it. The real-time aspect of the show provided its share of challenges. In doing such a show, there had to be a constant collaboration between the writers, director, and actors. Small things that would normally be overlooked, things as simple as driving across town, now were major story points. The freedom of time was gone. But that's what added to the intrigue and tension of the entire story. Now something as small as a long red light at an intersection carried a huge amount of weight, especially if a life was on the line, which it usually was. What can you expect from the second season of 24? In a word, more. More conflict, more suspense, more of the unexpected. And with a story that's literally been ripped from today's headlines, the next day, Jack Bauer's next day, is going to keep all of us wide awake for the next 24 hours. Now please, enjoy the first season of 24.
So, for all of y'all who read Child 44, to me that sounded very similar to how you feel when you're reading Child 44, overlooking all the small details. Something as small as he said, sitting at a red light could be a significant difference to the overall outcome of the story. Every time he tries to do something right, he seems to be pulled farther and farther away from his family. And at the end, when he said to expect from the second season of the show to expect more, that's pretty much how I felt when what was I saying? Oh yeah, you can expect more from this book, The Secret Speech. I think Tom Rob Smith, in his novel, does so, one, by using cliffhangers, and two, what I like to call the Robert Ludlum style. Robert Ludlum was a writer who his works typically feature one heroic man, like Leo or Jack Bauer, and who is struggling against powerful adversaries whose intentions and motivations are evil and who are capable of using political mechanisms in frightening ways. So, in his writing, the world in his writings is one where global corporations, shadowy military forces, and government organizations all conspire to preserve or undermine the status quo. And so, obviously, that sounds a lot like what Tom Smith is writing about in his novel, or his 3 novels. So, I kind of attribute, I'm trying to draw a triangle between Jack Bauer, Leo, and this Robert Ludlum. More about Ludlum, his novels were inspired by conspiracy theories, both historical and contemporary. I thought this was important because what Tom Smith does a lot is combine actual historical events like Stalin's reign, the KGB, the underground mafia that are in fact factual, and then he combines that into a fiction story with Leo and his family. But the main thing I want to point out here is that I think that his excitement, Tom Smith's excitement, comes from the cliffhangers he has in his novel, and that's a lot of what Robert Ludlum used in his works, and you see that a lot in 24 as well. Has anyone actually seen 24 in here? 1, 2, 3. Well, it's a really good show. So, anyways, so we don't really have to watch this, but if you want to. I was gonna say, oh yeah, here. Like I said, they mix history in with fiction, and then I have this sequence right here because I was trying to draw or diagram how both 24 and Tom Smith have their novels set up to where you kind of need to read the first one in order to kind of fully get the second one and third one. Same with 24, you can't just watch random episodes or else you won't know what's going on. And I think this was a big part of how his books build up such suspense, because you can be reading the second book and if you haven't read the first book, then when you read something in the second book, it wouldn't seem as important to you if you didn't know the background story or who that person was or what had happened previously. And that's about it. Oh, this is just a little extra thing. In both Child 44 and 24, I hope I'm not spoiling it for anybody, but I doubt anyone's really going to go back and watch it. Both of them in the end find out that their own brother is in on the evil side, so I thought that was a striking similarity. And I actually found in an interview that somebody else did with Tom Smith, he actually did have references to 24, and that was kind of the style he's trying to achieve. I myself messaged him on Facebook last night, but he didn't respond, so I would have had an interview, but that's a speech.